going to 15-inch corn, back when I first was looking at it, I only had 300 acres of corn. I didn't have very much corn. I wasn't farming very much ground. I did the work myself and built that first corn head because my other head was shot. I was gonna have to do something different. And so, but even today, if you were to look at a brand new corn head and you're gonna put it over a few acres, that I mean, I've seen places where I've done side-by-sides where I got 24 bushel better, side-by-side, the exact same everything. Fertilizer, chemistry, population, exactly the same. The only thing that was different was I have 15-inch here and 30-inch here. And that variety that year was 23 bushel difference. And so I've also had years where I tested it side by side and I might have only gotten 8. But I can't think of a time it ever didn't have a better yield. And there's just so many things behind it. You get better canopy, you get a cooler, you get a cooler row because you have a better canopy. You get so much better use of the sunlight because you are equal distance. You're gonna be 15 inches row to row, and you're gonna be 10-ish inches between plants. And then if we ever do get to where we're gonna all plant, you look at the contest plots, they're 40 some odd thousand. If you're gonna get to the point where 60,000 is the right population, well, 30-inch rows absolutely aren't gonna work for that. So you're gonna have to be able to put it in somewhere. I watch a lot of neighbors go to 20-inch corn, and I'll call that the easy default. So if you're gonna spend the money anyway and you don't want the extra yield, go to 20-inch rows and you'll probably be just fine. 15-inch rows are a little more challenging, but I think they also bring a little more yield. So I would tell you that in my mind, 30-inch rows, the only reason they're around today is because everybody owns that style of equipment. If they could wake up tomorrow without cost, they'd all be in 20s or 15s. So weed control has changed through the years, but when I first went to 15s, I cut out almost 2/3 of my acres. I didn't spray it. The second pass, you do your early pass and then you do a cleanup pass. I had 2/3 of my acres, didn't have to go back over because they shaded the weeds out. And so that was a big savings. Now today I'm a little more anxious about escapes. I don't want any escapes in my corn because I got to deal with them next year in my beans. So I go ahead and I do that cleanup pass more regularly. But you can save chemical costs for sure. And just that canopy here, I plant next to a lot of 30-inch rows and it's at least 10 days sooner canopy, at least, sometimes 2 weeks. Now your corn will grow a little taller, but so far harvestability hasn't been a problem for me. I do cheat a little bit. I put fungicide on all my corn because I think I want both the yield and the standability. I've tried, and I always vet my own seed varieties. You can't just walk into your local seed salesman and say, hey, I'm gonna buy corn from you today. He needs to know that you're gonna put this in a narrow row situation. If you wanna try higher pops, I think that's where the higher yields are. He needs to know that too. Because I have experimented with some folks that thought they knew that they had 15-inch corn and it didn't work well. So you have to be a little careful on what you put out there. But if you get the right seed on the right acre, that 15-inch corn definitely will out yield. Well, especially in that May-June time frame when you don't like it dry, but sometimes it'll get you a dry spell right in there. And so you can see where your canopy is shading out that row and you're gonna save moisture. It's almost easier to see in a bean field. If you go and walk through 30-inch beans and then go walk through 15-inch beans, you'll get wet in the 15-inch beans. That same thing happens in corn, you just can't walk through it as easy. That is the fun part. If you're gonna be in 15-inch corn and have your corn scouted, they don't like it so much. It's a little hard to walk through. But yeah, so that is there, Alan. You don't have to spend more money on seed. I think I can get just as much yield bump putting out the same population as anybody else. I've done hot checks, I'll call it. I'll put the same variety in my field in 15-inch rows. I'll run my standard 37.5, I'll run 40 over here, and I'll run 33, 34 over here, and then check the yield and see how those turn out. But so far having that extra seed out there isn't costing me any money. I can get enough bushels to pay for the extra seed. And I always figured if you don't have the factory there in the first place, there's no way you're gonna get the rest of the yield. So I try to put that seed out. I am looking for that sweet spot though to say, when does it pay consistently to be at 42 instead of 37? I haven't found that yet. I think that's coming in future varieties, but probably maybe not today.